The tide may be turning against Donald Trump in one of the most critical swing regions of America. A brand new poll out of Bucks County, Pennsylvania suggests trouble ahead for the former president's approval ratings. While national headlines often focus on the big picture, it's these local battleground numbers that can quietly reshape the entire 2024 political landscape. So what exactly did this poll reveal, and what does it mean for Trump, the GOP, and the Democrats heading into the future? Let's break it down. Before we get into the poll numbers, let's talk about why Bucks County is so important. Located in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, this county has long been considered a political bellwether. In simple terms, it swings. In 2016, Trump made inroads in regions like Bucks, narrowing margins and energizing Republican voters. In 2020, however, Joe Biden was able to claw back enough support in Pennsylvania, flipping the state blue and ultimately securing the presidency. Bucks County, therefore, isn't just another patch on the map, it's a microcosm of the broader political fight for America's future. Now let's get into the new poll. Conducted by Upswing Research for the Democratic PAC Bucks United, the survey shows that 53% of voters in Bucks County view Donald Trump unfavorably. Only 42% view him favorably. That's an 11-point gap, an unmistakable sign that Trump's brand may be losing its appeal in this key swing area. But that's not all. The poll also tested down-ballot races, giving us even more clues about the political wins. Democratic District Attorney nominee Joe Kahn currently leads the Republican incumbent Jennifer Shorn by a margin of 49% to 43%. On the surface, these may look like just local numbers. But in reality, they could tell us something bigger about the national political climate. For Donald Trump, who continues to dominate the Republican Party and is still seen as the face of the GOP, unfavorable ratings in swing regions like Bucks County are dangerous. Why? Because approval ratings are not just about how people feel, they're about turnout, enthusiasm, and ultimately momentum in a state like Pennsylvania, which is often decided by razor-thin margins. Losing even a small fraction of voters in suburban counties could cost Trump the entire state. And if he loses Pennsylvania, his path to the White House narrows dramatically. One of the clearest political trends of the past decade has been the movement of suburban voters. Once considered fertile ground for Republicans, suburbs across America, especially around major cities like Philadelphia, have been shifting toward Democrats. Bucks County is no exception. It's a place where working-class communities meet more affluent neighborhoods, where longtime conservative voters now live next to younger, more progressive families. The fact that Democrats appear to be gaining traction here is not an isolated data point. It's part of a bigger story about the reshaping of American politics. So what's behind Trump's decline in this particular poll? There are several possible factors: legal troubles and controversies. Trump is facing multiple indictments and ongoing legal battles. Even some Republican-leaning voters may feel uneasy about the constant swirl of scandals. Democratic ground game, the Bucks United PAC and Democratic organizers have been investing heavily in outreach. They know Bucks County is winnable, and they're putting in the work to make sure their message connects. Local issues. Often overlooked in national coverage, local elections matter. With Joe Kahn ahead in the DA's race, Democrats may be benefiting from a perception that they're more in touch with community concerns, whether it's crime, justice reform, or public safety. Suburban identity politics. For many suburban voters, Trump's style of politics feels too combative, too polarizing. These voters may not identify as progressive, but they increasingly see the GOP brand as out of step with their values. The big question: what does this mean for 2024? If Trump can't improve his numbers in counties like Bucks, he risks repeating what happened in 2020, losing Pennsylvania. And if he loses Pennsylvania again, his electoral map becomes extremely difficult. Remember, Pennsylvania carries 19 electoral votes, and in a close national race, those votes can be decisive. On the other hand, Democrats see opportunity. The fact that a Democrat like Joe Kahn is polling ahead in a local DA race against an incumbent suggests that the Democratic brand is gaining traction beyond just the presidential ballot. If Democrats can mobilize voters at the local level, it could translate into stronger performance statewide. For Republicans, these numbers are a wake-up call. The party faces a choice: continue tying itself to Trump's political identity, or try to broaden its appeal with new messaging and different candidates. Some GOP strategists argue that suburban voters could be won back with a focus on economic issues, taxes, and community safety. Others believe Trump himself remains the only figure capable of energizing the Republican base, even if he turns off some swing voters. This internal tension between base enthusiasm and suburban outreach will define the GOP strategy going forward. Of course, Democrats shouldn't get too comfortable. Polls are just snapshots in time, and margins like 49-43 in a local race are hardly insurmountable. Republicans have proven time and again that they can mobilize voters in unexpected ways. Still, momentum matters. If Democrats can sustain these kinds of leads in places like Bucks County, they'll enter 2024 with a critical advantage. To really understand the significance, let's zoom out. Over the past 2 decades, Pennsylvania has been one of the most hotly contested battleground states in America. George W. Bush nearly flipped it in 2004. Barack Obama carried it twice. Trump shocked the political world by winning it in 2016, only for Biden to flip it back in 2020. Each of these elections was decided, in part, by margins in suburban counties like Bucks. That's why this new poll shouldn't be ignored. It's a small window into the bigger battle for America's political soul. So what can we take away from this? The poll is just one piece of data, but it highlights a trend. Donald Trump's grip on swing regions may not be as strong as it once was. With unfavorable ratings above 50% and Democrats showing momentum in down-ballot races, the path ahead for Trump in Pennsylvania and perhaps nationally looks increasingly challenging. But politics is fluid. Numbers can shift, campaigns can surge, and narratives can change. That's why all eyes will remain on places like Bucks County in the months ahead. What do you think? Is this the beginning of a serious decline for Donald Trump in key swing states, or just a temporary setback fueled by local politics? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this analysis helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future updates on global and U.S. political affairs. Until next time. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.